I am about to start reading Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. I'm guessing it is going to be strange. This is a proof copy that I got about a year ago because it has the release date of March 2023 on it. So Penguin sent this to me, but I am only reading it, or starting to read it now. I even got this cute little bookmark to go with it. I don't know anything about it, as I say. I'm guessing it's gonna be pretty strange. It has quite the kicker of a opening line, and I'm gonna read it for you, because if this is anything to go by, I think it's kind of funny, and it's my kind of humor as well. Put me out with the bins, he said regularly. When I die, put me out with the bins. I'll be dead, so I won't know any different. You'll be crying your eyes out. And he would laugh, and I'd laugh too, because we both knew that I wouldn't be crying my eyes out. I never cry. It reminds me a little bit of, where is it? Common Decency by Susanna Dickey. If I remember correctly, there's a line in this, so it would be Lily is talking to her mother about funeral arrangements, and her mother says something to the effect of, I don't care what you do, I don't plan on attending my own funeral. And it's a morbid situation, but it's very funny by the narrative, like the dialogue, I should say. And I am guessing something similar here, because this guy is talking about his own death in quite a emotionless manner, because people, when they talk about death generally, I mean, myself included, I would get a bit upset at the prospect, or a bit scared or whatever, but to talk about it so nonchalantly, it's kind of it's discomforting, and I think when people are a bit uncomfortable, they tend to laugh. And I think both of these books, this book especially, is certainly an instance where that is the case. So I'm gonna start reading. I'm excited. Thank you to Penguin for sending this to me. Here you go. I will read it now. Thank you very much. So I have read a bit of this, and I am hooked. I'm really liking it. It is weird, but it's very intriguing, and I can tell that it's going to be kind of a sad story. Now, I'm buddying reading this with my boyfriend, and he's read a bit more than me, and he said that it is deeply disturbing, and he actually had to put down the book and walk away from it and like make coffee and just take a break, which he's never had to do before, which makes me nervous, because I don't know, like when you hear that you're like, oh god, like what's ahead. But I have read Where I End. I'm looking at it up there. I have read Where I End by Sophie White, and I am of the belief that no book, besides maybe A Little Life, which I haven't read, but that's more of like a sad book, but I'm of the belief that no other book besides Where I End, after reading that, no other book can faze me, or no other book can traumatize me in the sense of it being disturbing. As I said, if I ever read A Little Life, I might be traumatized, but not from a sense of it being sick or disgusting or disturbing, which is what Shane said it was. So I'm nervous. I am nervous. he also was saying that, oh, I wouldn't like to be listening to it. Like, well, I am glad I didn't have the audiobook. So I don't know what to expect. I have the audiobook and I'm 28th grade, so we shall see. I'm hopefully going to devour this in the next, like, less than 24 hours. I want to get it finished before March ends, and realistically I want to get Detransition Baby finished as well, but that might be a bit of a tall order because there's only, I have 2 days. I can do that. I mean, I have places to go and people to see in those 2 days, so I don't know, and things to do as well. Unfortunately, reading is not my whole job, even though I would love it to be, but here we are. Anyway, I'm going to go and read more of this and check in regarding its trauma aspect and it being really disturbing. Like, I know it's twisted, but I think I can handle it. I have a fairly high tolerance, especially after reading Where I End. But then someone tells you that it is the most disturbing thing or upsetting thing that they've ever read, and you're gonna like, maybe I won't be okay. But only time will tell. I gotta read and find out. I reckon a little update is needed because I read the scene that Shane found disturbing. It is disturbing, but I've experienced worse, I will say. However, it is very uncomfortable to read. It is uncomfortable to read, but I could withstand it. It wasn't too much for me. So I read past it, and now something's after happening. I could kind of see it happening, but I was hoping that I would be wrong, and it has happened. And I wish I could tell you, but it would be a spoiler. From this point on, I actually kind of can't give anything away. I don't think I can say anything of huge specificity. I can't say anything specific. Otherwise that would kind of give away major plot, because in the beginning you're figuring out, or you're wondering why Sally Diamond is as strange as she is, and that's a huge, like, revelation, and it kind of sets up the rest of the story. So it's hard to actually talk about this, but it is messed up for sure. I'm about halfway, I think over halfway through now. I'm going to read more tonight, and hopefully tomorrow I will finish it. I'm not going to get Detransition Baby finished because I actually ended up going to Cork City today, so I didn't really read today. I haven't read today. So besides that tiny little bit on the train where I read the part that I could see coming and was hoping wouldn't happen, but it has, and now I am afraid for what is yet to come. But it is just going to have to be the way. Clearly this is not going to be an easy read. I just gotta buckle up and do it. I gotta read. So I'm going to do that. Bye! We need to talk about Strange Sally Diamond. I finished it last night, and I have many thoughts. It is a 4-star for me. I gave it 4 stars in the end. I was humming and hawing because I was really intrigued the whole way through. I feel like I can give it a better overview now that I've read it, without spoiling, of course. So Sally Diamond is a strange individual. It opens with her dad. She finds her dad dead and she throws him in the incinerator and burns him, and obviously that attracts publicity, and also she is a woman who does not remember anything of her childhood, and we learn why that is, and I can't really say that without spoiling a huge amount of the book. There are two perspectives. There is Sally, and then there is a guy called Peter, and they eventually overlap and you find out who Peter is. It is dark, it is twisted, but ultimately what it is a study of generational and inherited trauma, and how certain people will escape it. Others will try their very hardest to escape it, but will not quite get there. And then others are just so deeply brainwashed that they're just a lost cause, and they will inevitably continue the cycle of just abhorrent mistreatment of other individuals, because this is a story of neglect. That is the kind of trauma that I am talking about here. I gave it 4 stars in the end because while it was really, really gripping and definitely a page turner, the ending was a little bit too perfect for me. And what I mean by that is, considering the horrifying story that had just occurred, to have such a kind of tied together with no loose ends, but relatively no loose ends story, I was just like, it was a bit too neat for me. And I think the epilogue is to blame for that. Now I understand what it was aiming to do, was showing it was an example of when a person does escape that trauma, but it didn't really add anything for me. I think it would have been a lot more effective without an epilogue, and it sort of it caused me to be a little bit disappointed by the ending. That is just me being overly critical as well. I think without the epilogue it just would have been a lot more gut-wrenching. That is my little overview of this. Really, really good. The scene in which it was really, really difficult to read, it's not as bad after that, in my opinion. I'm currently reading this. I'm on chapter 8. Really, really good. I have less to say about this right now, other than it is a very interesting study of what motherhood means and the varied relationships people have with it and the difficulties, which is very interesting for me as someone, I can't have children, so I'm very intrigued by this. Anyway, I'm gonna go and continue to read. A good bit into it. I'm listening on audiobook while I'm at work, so I'm actually not sure where I am in the book, but in any case, it is really good. The premise is we have Reese and Amy. They were a transgender lesbian couple, but then Amy detransitions, hence the name, to Ames, and is in a relationship with their boss, who happens to be Katrina, yeah. And now Katrina is pregnant. And while they were in a relationship, it wasn't like official. It was kind of a physical relationship, as opposed to go out and dine and have food and, you know, be each other's best friend kind of a relationship. And now Ames, previously Amy, is suggesting that Reese help parent the baby, because Reese has always wanted to have children but couldn't do so biologically. And Ames has come up with this idea has run it by Reese. Reese has told her that, or told him that he is crazy, which the idea kind of is a bit mental. Ames hasn't told Katrina yet, so that's where I'm at with this. But it is very, very interesting, because I haven't ever read a novel about someone detransitioning, and 2, it is, from what I am understanding so far, going to be an interesting or unique, I keep saying interesting, it's going to be a unique look at what motherhood and parenthood in general means, and the many different facets in which that can present itself, in many different perspectives and different ways motherhood can look like and parenthood in general can look like. So I'm gonna go read it, and I cannot wait to just keep reading, because this is really hooking me. Really hooking me. And it'll be the oldest book I have, or the book I've had on my TBR the longest, on my physical TBR. So we're gonna keep reading this fantastic book, because I think it's gonna be fantastic from start to finish. And it was longlisted for the Women's Prize in 2021. So incredible. Also, if Florence Welsh says that she loved this book, then I'm in. I'm so down. Let's go. I have finished Detransition Baby, and I've ended this with as a 2-star. It started as potentially a 4-star, and it's ended as a 2. You might wonder how something could decrease so drastically. But first of all, I could never kind of buy into Ames's reasoning or logic for involving Reese in his pregnancy that he shares with Katrina, especially considering Amy and Reese haven't been together for like 4 years. I thought it was 6, but at the end it mentions 4 years, so I'm actually not sure. But for me, if I got a woman pregnant, I wouldn't be involving my ex in the rearing of that child. It just wouldn't cross my mind. And that belief solidified when I found out who. So Ames's detransition from Amy to Ames was kind of catapulted, or the catalyst for that detransition was due to Amy being attacked by a guy. And when I found out what that guy's connection to Reese was, I could not fathom or understand why Ames would ever consider speaking to, let alone rearing a child with Reese. Like, it just is so unfathomable and illogical. And the third thing, what kind of really solidified this as a 2-star, because I was like, okay, maybe 3 stars, because I genuinely did find it a fascinating study of motherhood, parenthood as a broad topic, but motherhood specifically, especially through the lens of being transgender and the various struggles one faces in that respect. But what it brought it down to a 2-star for me then was the very disappointing conclusion that this book has. I thought that the story was going to go in one way, with a relationship blooming between Katrina and Reese. It would have made the case that basically everything Reese touches turns to shit, or that Reese loves to kind of upend Ames's life. But it didn't go that direction, and while it would have been very self-destructive and just chaotic, I think it would have been a much more interesting and entertaining story than what actually occurred. So 2 stars for me. I thought this vlog was going to be the vlog of me finally reading books that I love, but it was not to be the case. I really did enjoy Sally Diamond, to be fair, but this is possibly one of the most disappointing reads I've had in a very long time. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'm gonna go now and make my next TBR because I've officially read all of the books on my TBR. Okay, thanks for watching and see you soon.